Well, welcome everyone tonight to the second class in Meditation 101. We're just going to cover a few more topics related to beginning stage meditation. My name is Steve, and I'll be your guide tonight. And just to cover these topics, they're intended for beginners. You don't have to be a Buddhist. You don't have to follow any particular Buddhist path. It's sort of designed to be of general interest. Myself, I've taken a few courses in Buddhist meditation and other related topics, and I wouldn't consider myself an expert. The great thing about Thubten Norbu Ling, the host meditation center, is they have many resources, both online and also at the center, that you can access either in real time through streaming or come and visit us. Just go to the website and check it out. First class meditation teachers, other Buddhist teachers, and so on. So I thought I would begin tonight by just revisiting one of the most important topics related to the way we set up a meditation session in Buddhism. And it's the first part of a meditation session in this particular style. And it's simply relaxing the body and calming the mind. Now, one reason I revisited and kind of emphasize this is because it's very easy to do and it gives almost instant positive feedback. One of the challenges of meditation is, well, meditating. That is, staying on a regular course of meditation. So, if there's something we can do in meditation that's very pleasurable, we can actually develop a habit. And that is relaxing the body and calming the mind. That just gives us physical sensation, positive physical sensations of relaxation, stability, and so on. And those sensations also transfer over to the mind, giving us pleasant sensations of calmness, stability, and so on in the mind. That's why this is usually the first practice within a meditation session, and again, why I revisit it. So we'll begin just by refreshing our coverage last week of this, and then we'll go right into a meditation counting the breaths. And this meditation is expressly designed just to help relax the body and calm the mind. Now, if you prefer not to count the breaths and just attend to the breath, that's fine as well. You don't have to do that. So we again refresh our meditation posture. Initially, really all we want to do with a meditation posture is to sit with enough comfort to tune out any bodily sensations, to at least minimize them, and then turn our attention to the mind. Again, our legs and feet are supporting our body. We can sit in a chair or on a cushion. Our arms are relaxed with the shoulders gently down and back. The arms are typically akimbo, that is, the elbows are outward a little bit, which helps let the air circulate and reduce any kind of buildup of heat in the body. The spine, of course, is the most important. It's upright and energized, but relaxed. And it supports the rest of the body in the same way that a hanger supports a garment like a coat, which just hangs loosely on it. So the rest of the body is as relaxed as possible, and the spine supports it. The eyes can be closed or slightly open. Generally, a downward gaze is recommended, and this helps keep the mind from becoming too excited. If you're a beginner or if you're experiencing a lot of excitement in the mind and distraction, you can also meditate with the eyes closed. Sometimes that's easier. But as you become more relaxed and comfortable, you just keep the eyes slightly open. This prevents drowsiness because the body associates closed eyes with nap time. So keeping the eyes slightly open helps avoid this. The lips, the jaw, the mouth, the teeth. Well, the lips are just very lightly touching, so the breath goes in and out in a natural way through the nose. The jaw is relaxed, and it might be worthwhile to take a moment to do that. A lot of us hold tension in the jaw or in the face. The teeth themselves are almost touching, and as an advanced instruction, you can just place a gentle smile on the face, just to bring a little bit of lightness to your mind. The tongue touches the upper palate behind the top front teeth. And the point of this is to reduce the flow of saliva and so reduce any swallowing, which might be a distraction, and also a gentle pressure on the upper palate, that is, with the tongue against the top, behind the front teeth, gently stimulates the brain to keep us from getting, oh, maybe a little bit dull or maybe drowsy. Finally, the head is slightly inclined forward with the chin gently pulled in. So the spine is upright, energized. The front of the body is open. The back of the body is strong. And the head is balanced above the spine with the chin pulled in. So we'll begin with counting the breaths, or if you prefer, just simply attending to the breath. If you choose to attend to the breath, then you can pay attention to the breath, its regularity, its depth, or its shallowness, whether it's coming quickly or slowly. Just don't make any effort to try and change it. Just let it be. So we begin by calming the mind in our meditation. Or we focus our attention on our breathing. You can focus the mind on the rising and falling of your shoulders and chest as you inhale and exhale gently. The whole cycle of respiration. Attending to these sensations which are in the present helps us set aside any memories of the past, planning for the future, ruminating about thoughts or concerns. So we just stay present with the breath. Second part of a meditation session is to set a motivation. And that's as simple as creating an altruistic motivation for your meditation session. We can think that we're meditating for our own individual benefit, of course, but we're also taking the time to meditate and develop our mind so that through effort and practice, we can become a wiser and kinder person. And in that way, benefit all the beings who come into our lives. See if you can just feel a positive feeling after having set that motivation. And just focus on that without any analysis. And in setting a motivation, we color the rest of our meditation session and also this whole class where we're here together discussing the basics of meditation. And now we move to the main body of the meditation. Refresh your posture if you like. Reduce any tension, any straining in the body. Bringing the attention back to the breath. At first, we observed the sensation of the breath throughout the whole body, the inhalation and exhalation. And this is very helpful for grounding and relaxing both the body and the mind. Now we'll turn our attention, just tighten it a little bit. It's still on the breath. But now we focus our attention on the sensation of the breath just at the nostrils. The cool air coming in, the warm, moist air exiting. By constraining the scope of our attention in this way, we actually tighten and heighten the attention, gently increasing its intensity and its discrimination. Our only job is to keep our attention firmly placed on the sensations of the breath at the nostrils, noticing with the power of our introspection when our attention is drawn away from there by other sensations or perceptions, other thoughts, and bringing it back again, gently but firmly. As you exhale and inhale, mentally count the pair of them in whatever order you wish, an inhalation and an exhalation, or vice versa. Count the pair of them as one, continuing up to 10. Remember that the counts are just signposts that tell us if we've lost our way and our attention has left the breath. They're not the main point of the meditation, which is to attend to the sensations of the breath. So count as lightly and briefly as you can at the end of a cycle of breath, and then return to the sensations of the breath. If you find that you have become distracted, just return, resetting your count to 1. It doesn't matter if you only make it to a count of 2 or 5 or whatever number. The real practice of meditation is placing the attention on an object like the breath, noticing if it's left that object, and then returning it gently but firmly. It's this repeated process that builds a power of mindfulness. That is, our ability to place a chosen object into our attention and keep it there. Now, finally, what we typically do at the end of a meditation session is we dedicate. One way to do that, whether you're a Buddhist or not, is to just take a quick check right now and compare the difference between the way you felt before you did this meditation and the way you feel now. And then, if you are able to gain some measure of relaxation of the body and calmness of the mind, just appreciate that feeling and dedicate it to your return the next time to the meditation cushion. Well, that ends the first meditation for tonight, counting the breaths. And we can appreciate that this process of relaxing the body and calming the mind, it only takes a few moments. And if that's all you have in terms of time or energy, then this is a wonderful practice to do. We practice it, we get better and better at it, and then more and more quickly, we can attain this state of a relaxed body and a calmed mind. By relaxing the body, we create the physical qualities of relaxation, stillness, and vigilance through our posture of a strong spine in the body. And then this supports our mental qualities. It supports not only that, but it cues and initiates those mental qualities of calm, stability, and attentiveness in our minds. So if we lack time, energy, our mind is far too agitated to even consider a meditation session, we can still engage in this particular practice. But it also supports, this practice that is, also supports a full meditation session because it creates a powerful foundation for that meditation. Why? Well, when the mind calms and settles, it takes on a neutral state. In fact, its fundamental state is neutral. And when our mind is in a neutral state, that allows us to release our everyday concerns and distractions. And then, when we reach the stage of motivation and meditation, it's easier to move the mind to a positive state in that next step, and also to stay calm and positive for the rest of the session. I think for me, my experience, it's really relaxing the body and calming the mind. It's really the best place to start building a meditation habit for the reasons I explained already. It's just very easy to do and has an almost immediate effect that's pleasurable to both the body and the mind. And so that begins to develop a habit meditation. So let me pause there and ask if there are any questions or observations. It's all right if there aren't any. That's fine. We'll just go into the next topic, which is making meditation a habit. So did anyone have anything they wish to say?
Yeah, Stephen, I'll say that I find this helpful when my mind is very noisy and bothersome. And, like I'm stressed, etc. And it's like I have to really concentrate heavily on the breath in order to calm it down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a comment that I will make. Then a question that I have, which I know may seem kind of silly, but there is a certain part of me, other than calming the mind, is questioning what is the ultimate purpose of meditation.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, it is to develop the mind. That is its ultimate purpose in a very general and broad sense. Of course, different people will want to develop their mind in different ways, people at different stages of practice, and also with, maybe people who are, not interested, maybe curious about Buddhism, but it's not their main concern. But they can still, profit from meditation and by means of developing the ability to, for example, here we're mainly focusing on mindfulness and introspection as the two important skills. The ability to develop those two skills. And if you can place your mind where you want it to go, not where it wants you to go, it might sound weird, but if you can place your mind, say, a positive frame or on a topic you want to analyze or concentrate on, then that changes your whole experience, doesn't it? Because whatever else is like left by the wayside. And then by doing that, you continue to improve that particular quality. You also improve the quality of introspection, which is paired with mindfulness. That is, being able to watch the quality of your mind. As introspection develops, you begin and you get to know your mind. Your mind quiets a little bit. You get to see what is going on there. You begin to be able to disengage. And we're going to do some meditations related to that today. You begin to disengage from very powerful, what seem to be very sudden emotions or thoughts that come up. As your mind quiets and you get to know it better, become more familiar with it, you can begin to anticipate maybe the conditions, the precursors, of some of these unwanted emotions or thoughts, and then begin to dismantle them. And vice versa, to begin to promote positive emotions. So, for example, say you wanted to work on compassion. Maybe for us, it's compassion. Oh, yeah, that's good, but why is it so important? And then you want to begin to look at the reasonings, the arguments for why compassion helps me, why it helps everyone else, why it is so important, in particular in this particular tradition and path. When the mind is calm, relaxed, and has a strong ability to place the attention on any kind of reasoning, it can begin to reinforce those reasonings and create new patterns that are more serviceable and helpful to us. That's an explanation, and feel free to ask more questions, but I thought it might be better just for me to go through and kind of demonstrate and give a few examples of how this is done and
Okay,
what some of the benefits of.
there's one thing I want to hasten to sort of add here, because, like, I know the Tibetan Buddhists were surprised when they got exposed to the Westerners about how negative we are about ourselves. And that I'm just going to chip in that I have found it helpful, and I think it's important to remember that you need to channel that compassion to yourself in order to be able to channel it to anyone else. And that's something I think that's important for us to not forget. And it is easy to do. Yeah. So that's my.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a really interesting point. Thank you for bringing it up because, we look at others and we can see people in terrible suffering, see that at a distance. Sometimes we are so close to our own challenges and sufferings and just so familiar with them. We think either we don't notice them, we just think that's the way they are. There's nothing we can do to change them. And then so meditation is a way of beginning to also feel compassion for oneself. We look at our minds and we find out how they work and the causes and conditions that bring up negative feelings in ourselves. And are those negative feelings really realistic? Can they withstand analysis? Are we really so horrible and everyone is not as bad as us? Is that really logical? Is that rational to think that? And so that's where meditation can help us as well. So yeah, just to amplify what you said, which is great, is to yeah, to feel compassion for ourselves. But for meditation to work, we need to develop a habit. It comes down to consistency. So that means if we can, to meditate every day, if possible, or if we miss a day, to make sure we begin again the day after. And it has to do partly with habit. That's why we begin with relaxing the body and calming the mind, because a habit is really three steps. It has a cue, the desire, something that triggers the desire to sit on the cushion. Maybe it's just observing that my mind is crazy right now. I can't focus. I can't deal with stuff that's happening. I'm just not in a state to be able to handle whatever's going on. So that could be a cue. The routine is simply being able to sit down and begin that structure of a meditation habit. Just go through the stages. Okay, first thing I do is breath meditation. Just relax the body, calm the mind. And then I try and move my mind into a pause. And now that it's neutral, I try and move it into a positive state. And then I begin a meditation. It could be just continuing with counting the breaths, or it could be something else. Like just looking at the event that made me so upset, agitated, unhappy, and then taking that apart. And then at the end, in this three steps of creating a habit, first is the cue, the second is the routine, the meditation, and the third, the final step, is there's a reward. And typically we kind of enshrine that in the fourth part of a meditation session, which is the dedication. Where not only is it a dedication, but it's a rejoicing in anything and everything that we encountered in the meditation session. Maybe a little bit of calmness and relaxation, maybe some insights, maybe just sort of a feeling of being able to regenerate, to make sense of things, to put things back into perspective, whatever that is. During the dedication session, we remember that and we value it and we rejoice in it. And then we stop analyzing and stop remembering and just feel that sensation of rejoicing and accomplishment, and fix it in our minds. So that's the reward of the three-step loop of a habit. The cue, a feeling of discomfort in the mind, maybe just a wish to be in a relaxed state, maybe an enjoyment of the experiences and wanting to recreate them in a meditation session. Whatever that cue is, you build that, you practice the routine of meditating so it's easy, it's automatic. And then it's automatic to begin it, and the way you set it up, however you want to set it up, your favorite meditations, whatever you want to do. You begin those, they're familiar. It's not totally automatic. It's not like you're a sleepwalker while you're doing it, but it's familiar enough and comforting enough that it becomes a routine. And then at the end, you bring out the reward, the results of your hard work of meditating. So that's kind of a quasi-scientific presentation on how you make meditation a habit. I'm not a scientist, not even a quasi-scientist, So take it for what it's worth. See if in your own life that's how you develop habits or how habits have developed for you. But just some very practical advice in developing a habit is to find a regular time in your existing daily routine where meditation fits naturally and easily, maybe just before your morning tea. That has two side effects. First of all, you're using an existing habit to build a new one. And then when you finish your meditation, you have, well, the reward of a nice cup of, I don't know, oolong or assam, something like that, in order to celebrate having done meditation. You make it really easy to practice by preparing a calm and pleasant meditation session or a meditation setting ahead of time. And then you just start really small and simple, just a few minutes at first, where you focus on calming the mind and choose meditations you find easy and rewarding. And to emphasize, relaxing the body and calming the mind is an incredibly helpful micro habit that you can develop when you're starting a meditation practice or restarting it. Why? Because it's just so easy to do. You feel better almost immediately. And it's a pleasurable activity that you can anticipate for the next time. That's what makes it habit forming. If you struggle to meditate, even for 5 minutes, maybe that seems like a really long time to sit and meditate. Even a meditation session that short can be broken up into mini sessions of maybe 30 seconds of focused concentration, of clear, stable, and vivid concentration on the breath. And then just 30 seconds of more relaxed sitting, and then repeating all in the space of 5 minutes, 6 cycles of that. So even then, you have a way of sitting on the cushion and even just beginning with 30 seconds of concentration, relaxing that concentration for 30 seconds, and then taking it up again. To create that feeling of reward, you finish each session on a good note by appreciating any calmness or relaxation, an experience of self discovery, maybe personal development. Maybe this time you were able to hold on to the breath for a count of 4 instead of a count of 3 like last time. Any sort of development that you can look that you can hold up to yourself. And remind yourself that in this regard, in any of these kind of developments of mental qualities, what helps you also helps others once you leave the meditation seat. What do I mean by that? Well, think about it in your own life. If you've been with a person who might seem to be more relaxed, more calm, more attentive, and how much you enjoy being with that person. Relaxed, calm, attentive. Those are just the qualities we develop in a meditation session. So we can be that person that others want to spend time with. One thing at this point is to, well, be open about it. Some meditation sessions can be very difficult, almost impossible to settle, or negative thoughts, negative feelings, emotions just come up and it's unable to unable to get rid of them, to clear them away. They're just something that's really agitating you. Well, it's really important to have some compassion for yourself, as was so generously pointed out. And one of the ways to do that is to avoid having expectations or a timetable and instead be non judgmental, accepting, and engaged, curious about your experiences as you develop your meditation habit. And it can take time to develop any habit. Generally, in general, it can take at least a month. It could take a year. And you may have some periods of successful meditations. Things happen in your life. You have to set that, or you're forced to set that practice aside for a little bit and then come back. So you're very compassionate with yourself. Those are a few words on making meditation a habit. I don't know if anyone would like to chime in. You're welcome to. Well, we'll go next to another meditation. This, this is called the Bare Attention exercise. It's handout number 4 in the materials that come with this class. And it's an interesting one because we're going to work with both of the meditation skills, the skill of mindfulness, which is the ability to place the attention wherever we choose. Once placed there, resist any distractions that come up. That's in this particular tradition, the style of meditation. That's what mindfulness is meant, what is meant by mindfulness. And then also introspection, where it's a little bit of a distance that we take and observe how that's going, the state of our mind, or maybe even something as simple as just the quality of our meditation seat, physically, I mean, how relaxed we are, how comfortable we are, do we have the right blend of energy and relaxation in the body, and so on. In this one, we're going to start, it's like we have two dials. We're going to start with a strong application of mindfulness, but we're going to dial that down and then dial up introspection, where we begin to step back and look at what's happening in our mind. So take a meditation seat, just relax, focus your attention on your breathing. As always, breathe naturally. You can count the breaths. You can scan the body. There's any number of beginning meditations, starting meditations, initial meditations in a meditation session. Where we relax the body, calm the mind, still the body, stabilize the mind, but energize the spine and increase the attentiveness of the mind. And the main body of this meditation will begin with an application of mindfulness. We do that in the same way that we increased mindfulness in counting the breaths. That is, we place the attention at the opening of the nostrils and watch the breath there. Where the scope is tightened down and the attention to the sensations there is heightened. So at this point of the meditation, you could think of yourself as a gatekeeper, just watching the breath flow past as it enters and exits the body, keenly observing everything that arises in that limited area of scope. Here, we're using the breath as the anchor for our attention. And if your mind ever becomes especially scattered and distracted, you can place more emphasis in your meditation on the element of mindfulness, focusing your mind more firmly on your breath. Once we feel that we've gained a deeper level of concentration and focus through our mindfulness, we're going to loosen this slightly. So we're now moving to the meditation skill of introspection. And we're going to place a greater emphasis on that in our meditation. This is where we begin to open up our perception to whatever arises in our mind. Any mental elements, any sensations, ideas, distractions. We don't identify with them. We don't follow them. We don't give them any energy. Instead, we just let them go and rather become aware of the endless procession of mental events passing through our consciousness, arising, abiding, transforming instant to instant, and then subsiding again. Simply observe these mental events. Observe them like a scientist or a tourist with a feeling of dispassion and distance. Each time the mind wanders from the breath, just take note of it. It can help sometimes to identify where the mind wandered to. Maybe a simple distraction, feeling of impatience, boredom, or a memory from the past, a plan for the future, a sensation, whatever. It can be helpful just to label it and let it go. And then return to the breath, waiting for the next inevitable change in the mind. Well, that completes the bare attention exercise. So, what's interesting about this one is we're actually consciously using both of the basic skills of meditation, mindfulness and introspection, starting with mindfulness in order to calm and focus the mind, but then reducing that and increasing introspection, allowing us to observe the mind. see how it operates, what its basic characteristics are, what its fundamental qualities are, through a power of introspection, stepping back and looking. But mindfulness is still operating, of course, because we have to remember the instructions. We have to know what to do if we begin to get carried away by certain thoughts or ideas, feelings, sensations, emotions. We have to remember to let them go and then return to the anchor of the breath. So both are working, but now in a very different relationship compared to our meditation, counting the breaths. So I wonder if there's any quick comments or lengthy comments for that matter, any questions.
I'll just make the comment that one of the, and I know this is, quite personal to myself, and it may not work for everyone, but sometimes when my mind is all over the place, what's helpful for me is to sort of give myself the instruction to go deeper, right? And I mean, I think one can use whatever words is appropriate, would be appropriate, but it kind of calls me back from all of the falderall of my busy mind. Yeah. So that was my comment on that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. And so would you like to say a little bit more about going deeper? What does that mean for you in particular? And everyone can have their own view, their own opinion. Our minds are all very different.
The going deeper has to do with the thoughts that are distracting me are useless. They're just, blah, blah, blah. Um, you know, so that's where that call is. It beckons me to what am I actually doing here? I'm trying to be mindful, and I'm not trying to be mindful of, oh, gee, I must remember to do this and so, all that kind of falderall that goes on in the brain.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
distracting, or, I see something on the floor, oh, I should pick that up, that kind of thing. So instead, I kind of try to pull my energy back back into me instead of, because obviously the thoughts are generally outer directed. So I think that's what I mean by going deeper. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's a great comment. And there's different ways. I agree. And I think there's different ways of, phrasing that because we all have our own ways of thinking about our mind and how it works. And, you know, it's whatever works for us. But I think what it is sounds like what you're doing is you're just looking at the thoughts as if they're thoughts. So often thoughts are just so present and so powerful that they take on a life of their own. But if we're able to do this bare attention exercise and see that it's just a thought, it's just here for the instant. And then, even for the brief time that it's with me, it's going to be changing. And then it's just going to go away into nothing. That's a way of also going deeper, another way of looking at it. Just saying, like you said, I don't remember the exact words you used, but it's just like, it's just a mental event, the fluctuation in the mind. And so when we go deeper, well, what is that deeper? And this is like meditation number, well, three. There's this meditation number four, but it's the third meditation. And this is actually basis for the next meditation I'm going to do. But it's also this kind of way of looking at the mind is some of the most profound meditations that we do related to looking at the conventional nature of the mind use exactly the same principles where we just look at the mind without engaging. So going deeper, not being distracted by, you know, the sideshow of the thoughts coming up and doing their stuff and then disappearing, exit left or exit right. Not being distracted by all that, but going deeper into, oh, okay, what's that stage the persona are appearing on? How is it lit? How big is that stage? What's the scenery of the stage and not so much the actors jumping around on it? Did that kind of make sense and sort of amplify what you were saying, or
Yeah, definitely. And I
okay.
think also the other thing that uh, heartens me, encourages me, is I've got a friend who said, well, in terms of spiritual paths and nuances, there are 80 billion people on the planet, there are 80 billion spiritual paths. So that use that technique to draw myself away from my thoughts, maybe idiosyncratic. And that's fine. We all have to find our pathway.
Yeah, those 80 billion people and their 80 billion paths will each have 80 billion thoughts throughout the course of their life. Many of them
Honey, I've
recurring.
got 80 billion per day.
Okay, that's great. I really appreciate that feedback. That's helpful. And I can say it my way or the way I've been instructed, but it's so wonderful that also have, different viewpoints. It makes us feel, although the viewpoints are different, it makes us, I think it builds a certain commonality when we look deeper into it. Well, let's just go ahead. That was an interesting discussion. Maybe a little bit too interesting. We have to get back to meditation and being calm and relaxed. Let's go back to another meditation where we're going to do this same procedure, where we start with settling the mind and tuning, intensifying the focus by attending to the breath, but then stepping back, acting as observer, engaging more our meditation skill of introspection, just sort of a cool, observing mindset that watches what's going on, almost like some kind of self-awareness, but who knows? We do that, and then we begin to see deeper into the nature of the mind. We begin to get deeper. We're less distracted by those thoughts that we all have given so much energy and so much time to, when they're really all just bit players on the stage. So this particular meditation is called, it's handout number 5. So a fourth of our meditations. I'll just give you a little bit of prep for it. Again, it builds on the one we just did. And in fact, we're going to go deeper based on the foundation of the last one, the bare attention meditation. So just a few words about it so we don't feel lost or confused, wonder what it is we're looking for. And it's not unusual. These deeper, when you begin to search and set aside the thoughts themselves and look at their qualities, nature, and, well, what is that container, the consciousness? It can become quite subtle and a little bit, yeah, it can be very difficult sometimes to grasp onto these, to perceive them, shall we say. So don't be discouraged at all if this is the first time you've done this and you just end up all confused. Um, So, in our ordinary perceptions, our thoughts and feelings seem to be all there is to our mind. They're concrete, they're like boulders there. They're just like so solid, so irresistible. And they come in a stream, one thought, feeling, image, or idea after another. And all these mental contents seem to fill up our mind completely. What is your mind when you don't have a thought or an emotion? Is it even there? So they seem to fill up our minds completely as if our minds are small, finite containers. But apparently, as we hope to discover, this is just an illusion, a misperception on our parts. Our minds are vast and infinite, clear and spacious. Our minds have no boundaries, no limits. When we experience the vast, clear spaciousness of our mind, the clarity of our awareness, we begin to see how our thoughts and feelings are like clouds in the sky, simply passing through this vast, spacious awareness, not filling it up. Suddenly, we have some space from the endless attachments, aversions, and dissatisfactions of life. So we've laid the groundwork in the last meditation, and we know that there's something there. We can watch the thoughts come and change and go. So that means there's something there that's beyond that thought, if we're able to perceive it and able to look at it and discriminate, make discriminations about it. So we begin this meditation again with something as simple. Do this to relax ourselves. Again, just watching the breath. You may count the breaths if you find that useful, or you can just watch the breath. So after all those words, we're just going to relax the body and calm the mind by focusing our attention on our breathing. It feels nice, doesn't it? We're not getting too relaxed, though. Physically, we can energize the spine and even raise the sternum slightly. This physical posture of vigilance, if you will, increases the attentiveness of our mind so we're not getting drowsy, drifting away, everything getting murky and dark. That's what we want to avoid. So, again, in just a few sentences, I'll lead you through the last meditation, bare attention. And then we'll go on to looking at the mind, like the sky. So, bare attention. we gain a deeper level of mindfulness and focus. And then we loosen that slightly so that we can look and watch the operation of our mind through the power of introspection. And what we do is we just allow our mind to be attentive and observant of whatever comes to notice, regardless of what it is. Is it easy for us to stay on the breath? Are there physical sensations that distract us? Thoughts that pop up? Regardless of what it is, doesn't matter. We remain mindful of the instruction not to identify with them. Just observe them, don't give them any energy. Just watch them, whatever sensation, emotion, mental event, thought, whatever they are, just watch them arise, change, and subside, possibly becoming more and more subtle. Each time returning the attention to the breath as the anchor. Now we dial up our power of introspection to 11, allowing our attention to expand to encompass our entire sphere of experience of consciousness as it happens momentarily, moment to moment. Simply imagine your experience, everything that you're experiencing in each moment of thought, each moment of consciousness. Imagine that as a space like the sky, completely clear, vast, spacious, without end. Just experience what you experience, observing but not following. See if you can identify with this experience. Within the continuity of the consciousness, thoughts and sensations come endlessly without end. Whatever thought comes, there's always space for the subsequent thought. Positive thought may come, a neutral thought, a negative thought. But they all come and go, leaving no trace. In the same way that a bird flying across the sky leaves no track. See if you can identify with any feelings of clarity, spaciousness, awareness, whatever words occur to you. But best describe your experience of the consciousness, which is like the sky, holding the clouds of the thoughts. Our minds are completely clear, just as the sky is completely clear. The light of the sun shines down on us through the clear sky. In the same way, our awareness and wisdom shine through the clarity of our minds. Sometimes clouds fill the sky and obscure the sunshine. The clouds move, they change, they dissipate, leaving no trace in the sky. The clouds just pass through the spaciousness of the sky. They come, they change, and they go. The clarity and spaciousness of the sky isn't compromised by the clouds. Those clouds just arise and pass. Our minds are clear and aware, spacious like the sky. When a thought or an emotion, an idea or an image or a sensation arises in your mind, just observe it. Let it arise and let it pass. Each thought, each mental event, just like a cloud. Your mind, like the sky. Whenever we identify with and are carried away uncontrollably by a thought or a feeling, we lose any awareness of the spacious clarity of our mind, of the vast, clear, and knowing nature of the mind, within which each thought or feeling occurs. Our perspective becomes small and constricted. It is as if all there is are clouds. There's no sky. So we lose that wonderful open spaciousness. So this is one of the fundamental functions of meditation. to put us in the physical and mental state where we can actually observe the mind and not just the thoughts. And when we can simply observe these thoughts and feelings arising without getting involved, when we can identify with the sky instead of with the clouds, then we can reside in that spacious purity of our basic clarity of mind. Calm, clear, peaceful, open spaciousness. An open spaciousness that is without agitation, without delusions, without anxiety and distress, without dissatisfaction and attachments and aversions. Well, that finishes the meditation on the mind like the sky. We can dedicate that effort that we just made to become a bit more familiar with our whole mind, our whole consciousness, not just the thoughts in it. We can dedicate that energy. In my view, anyways, we've done some very sophisticated meditation this evening. So, whatever you experienced, any kind of self knowledge, self discovery, anything interesting, anything surprising, you can rejoice in that. You can feel really quite proud to have done something like this. This level of going deeper, I think, is pretty rare. It's not necessarily associated with particular paths or beliefs. It's something that we can observe in our own mind and use to develop self knowledge as a tool to change the contents of our mind, the thoughts, and improve them, improving our thoughts, improving ourselves, being a better person. For our own benefit, of course, but also naturally benefiting all of those around us as well. So, to end with a Buddhist dedication, where we take this particular substance, this feeling of rejoicing, of accomplishment, you could call it even a feeling of virtue, and direct it to the great enlightenment, to achieve freedom from suffering, to achieve happiness, happiness that is free from suffering, and equanimity for all fellow consciousnesses. Let's say it this way. For as long as space endures and beings remain, May I too abide to dispel the miseries of the world. All right, thank you very much for coming to this class tonight. Good night, everyone.